This is Jean Watts, and this is Love in 60 Seconds.
We have been married for over 20 years.
And in that time, we have learned a few things that we'd like to share with you.
So if you're single, newlyweds, or seasoned in marriage, we think you will enjoy the upcoming program.
Absolutely. And we want you to like, engage, share, and do all of those wonderful things that we do on Instagram, Facebook, and every other social media outlets. Send us DMs. We want to hear from you.
This is
Love in 60 Seconds.
60 seconds. Love in 60 seconds.
Hello, everybody. Hopefully you guys can hear us this evening. Welcome to Love in 60 Seconds. It's Frederick and Jean Watts. What is so funny?
I don't know.
We're trying something new tonight, but
Yeah.
we hopefully that you guys can hear and see us.
Yeah.
Once again, we thank you guys for tuning in. Please love, like, share. Look forward to talking good tonight. And having a good talk.
We're waiting for you guys to kind of sign in, and also making sure that we got everything that we need to have. So that's why I was laughing, because I'm always the one that's by the seat of my pants. And Watts here, Mr. Watts, Frederick Watts, is always on top of everything. So he has given me so much grace to get myself together. So anyways.
We're waiting for everybody to join in. And once again, always please like, love, share this message. And we want you to be engaged, or not this message, what we're talking about tonight. We want you to engage, ask questions, participate. And we are broadcasting on Facebook and YouTube tonight. So follow us definitely on all our media outlets on Facebook and Instagram. And YouTube at What's Up Entertainment.
Yeah, so tonight we're going to be talking about, again, we had some more tips on how to love the spouse that you married, how to love that person that you picked. They used to be saying if you can't love the one you want, love the one you with. No, we don't say that. We say love and want to love the one that you're with. Definitely. Looking outside of the fence and looking outside the door at something else and be like, oh, well, I'll just keep this. No, you turn that emotion to want to love the spouse that you're with. But we're going to let you give you some tips on how to do that, because sometimes nobody knows what it's going to be like to be married to a person until you're married to a person. Nobody knows what it's going to be like to be married to you till they're married to you. You don't know how you're going to be as a spouse until you get married. So there's a lot of things that you have to, it's a learning process about you. It's a learning process about them. And you got to really learn how to make sure that you, know that you love or how to love the person that you chose. Now, if you want to go back, we're going to start at point number 7 today. But if you want to go back and hear 1 through 6, we talk about vulnerability and allowing people to be themselves and so much and so on and so forth, go back and listen to the last episode from last week. And you can get information and get some content with regard to that. But we're going to get right into it here in just a minute. With regard to the next few things that we're going to give you some points on how to do that.
So let's start off with the first one.
Okay.
What's the first one?
Well, it's number 7. And it's, is this right? Is it number 7? No, it's number 8. Sorry. So number 8.
So that's number 1. That's the first one. So showing up for important moments, showing up in important moments is one way that you can show support and love to your spouse. Something that may be important to them, whether it's attending an event that they have or just if they're big on like birthdays or whatever, just making sure that you're taking time, if they have something that they're doing, that you as their spouse are the number one supporter.
Absolutely. Right? So what we have written down here is being present for your spouse's victories and being their biggest cheerleader is critical to loving them well. And is your husband or wife being presented with an award or receiving a promotion or giving a performance? Be there. If you can't be present at the event itself, head up the celebration after. You know what I'm saying? Making sure that you are celebrating. And that's kind of a part of the other part that I wanted to express. Making sure that you're celebrating your spouse. You should be your spouse is, like we said, biggest cheerleader. You should be the biggest promoter. You should be the biggest person pushing their dreams, pushing their desires, pushing their goals. And it sometimes it's hard to do if those desires and goals and dreams, cost a lot of money or is a big sacrifice on time. Sometimes it's difficult to do, but it is critical to do because, especially as women, and I'm just going to speak from a woman's standpoint, you can really make your man be pretty much anything. If you are doing the right thing, if you're saying the right things, you're pushing and you're promoting and you're sharing with, your spouse how much you believe in them. And if you're sharing that you believe in them, then listen, they are going to 100% absolutely perform better than if you always criticize them.
Right. And it's basically just show up. You have to be there, because your spouse is going to be looking for more than anybody else. You should be the one that's giving the most encouragement, giving the most pushing or whatever, because if you're their foundation or their rock, then they're going to be able to go forth in whatever, if it's ministry and life or whatever it is, having your spouse being your biggest backer is very important.
Yeah,
it's definitely important. And it's probably a lot of times the way you're your biggest backer to your spouse is just making sure that you're sowing into their love language in those important moments.
Absolutely. All right. So our next point is put their needs before your own. That is a hard one for people to do because we are in a very narcissistic and self-centered society. People tend to want to be pleased and have things that please themselves before they have things that please others. And the Bible says that you should have the spirit in general says the spirit of preferability. You give somebody else the high seat and then you be invited into that high seat, as opposed to you going in and you just take the high seat. Same thing in your relationship. You have to be selfless, right?
Right. You have to be selfless, and that it takes a little bit of work, but it's usually that work that you put in by putting your need or their needs before yours. It also gives you the biggest return. It also gives you the biggest reward, because giving and sacrificing, is an act of love as well, because that's what love is. It's selfless. When you really love someone, you're able to put their needs before your own needs, because of what love is, how it gives, and it's an action. So this is something that you have to work on diligently and daily.
Yeah.
But that reward is that you get that gratifying that love back that you a lot of times, even in life, you get out what you put in. So the more that you put in as far as loving your spouse and as far as serving them, you get that what you want back in return.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's if you give your spouse the courtesy of making them a priority, sometimes they'll take you up on that offer. Sometimes they'll appreciate and be okay with being the priority. But everybody wants to feel special. Everybody wants to feel like they're number one.
Yeah.
Even and then if you're a words person, even if you're not a words person, because I'm not all the time a words person. I'm an acts of service. Show me the money. Show me what you're doing. And then I'm a physical touch person. Like God, God bless, hug, whatever. I'm a physical touch person, but there are times when I am a words person, when I want to hear that I'm first. I want to hear that I'm the most important thing to you. So it's okay to say that sometimes, sharing with the person that you're deferring your needs and that you're putting them before you. I'm doing this because I want to bless you. I'm doing this because I want you to feel good. I'm doing this because I want to make sure that that I'm here for you.
Right. So
yeah. Putting their needs before your own.
And those are all ways that, that you're able to love your spouse in the way that they want to be loved. So number 3 is, has to do with communication. Okay, that's number 3, because we're in part 2, because so we're talking about being a good listener. So being a good listener is it has to be almost, number one in communication, because even in an argument or when you're in a discussion, if you're not listening, or if you're in it communicating, if you're always just eager to talk and never listen, you're never going to be able to deal with some of the issues that may come up in your marriage.
Absolutely. And that goes double for times when you're trying to resolve conflict. So if you're in a situation where you're trying to resolve conflict, you're always, and we talk about this all the time, when you're trying to be a good listener, not listening with trying to figure out what you're going to say next, not listening until you're trying to get your points so you can win the argument, not listening in that fashion, but listening and really hearing what that person is saying. Even, while you're doing whatever, listening to what the person is saying, listening to, allowing them to pour out what's in their heart and what's in their mind. And then when you respond back with dignity, even if you're in a moment where you're in a conflict, respond back with respect. One thing that I think you and I have done, and I am really glad that we put this in our marriage, is we don't call each other out of our names.
Right.
I'm not going to be like, you big head, you're a dummy, cheese eater or whatever, whatever. Just not, and you're not going to do the same with me, because those are levels of disrespect when you call your spouse out of their name, when you call them you're a dummy, or you're a liar, or even if they lied, you're a liar. That's no. You can be like, I don't think that's true, or I feel like that's not true. I don't feel like that's the truth. But you cannot call that person outside of their name, because you don't want to call that person anything negative, because that's you calling yourself something negative.
Yeah,
you're calling them negative.
That's very true.
So, I don't know how I got on that from being a good listener, but that must have been the Lord wanting me to tell somebody, don't be calling your husband knucklehead. Okay. Don't call your wife, old biddy or whatever. Don't do that.
Yeah. And then it's also is what you speak, you're a believer in that, and your tongue has power. If you call your wife your old, I can never call you my old lady. No, you're not my old lady. We're young, we're vigorous, I'm not that. But if I speak that over you every day as a man or a priest of the home, I can make us old. I can make you old. You can make me old before, so there's times when in communication and talking, and not only just being a good listener, but also watching what you speak.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, number 4 was sort of interesting, because it was we talked about telling the truth in love. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean to tell the truth in love?
Well, the Bible clearly speaks about speak the truth in love. It literally says that. And so it kind of goes back to what we just were saying just a moment ago. If your spouse is displaying some type of behavior that is that's not nice, that is not so good, that is not the best behavior, you don't say, you're a bum, or you a lazy dog, you don't say these things. You can tell them the truth and say, hey, you know what, I want you to be more motivated, or I feel like, what can I do to help us be motivated, or help you be more motivated to do some of the things that you really want to do, and help us to accomplish things that we want to accomplish. What can I do to help you be motivated? Right. That's telling the truth in love, or saying, hey, you know what, you could be more motivated in these areas. How can I help? Put it back on yourself. Right. Again, putting that information, or putting that spouse before you, giving them the spirit of preferability, letting them know how much you love them. But telling the truth in love is telling the truth in softness, telling the truth with the fruit of the spirit, with love, joy, peace, it's telling the truth with fruit.
Yeah, that's true. And then you have to be able to make sure, like you said, being pleasant, but also, the worst thing you can do is not to be honest, because, like, let's say, hey, oh, honey, let's say, like, for one of our instances, like one time I was like, I thought my weight was up there, too high. I was like, I want to lose some weight. You encouraged me to lose weight by saying, yeah, let's do this together. Let's do that, because if you stay where you're at, you're not going to be healthy. You're going to feel the way you feel and all that. But you could have been like, oh, you fine, honey. You know what? No, I'm not fine at whatever that is, because I wanted to get to a goal. But, when you're truthful in that, you're actually encouraging your spouse to be able to achieve their goals and to be able to do things. But had you just said it was okay, that could affect my health. It could affect a lot of things, because, you felt like maybe I wasn't couldn't hear the hard truth.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to make sure that you're always communicating the truth, even if it's going to be a little bit hurtful, but doing it, the way. And it's even in conflict. A lot of times, if there's some issues that, you have to deal with as a couple, you got to deal with it in truth and not sweeping it under the rug.
Absolutely. And then telling the truth in love, again, telling the truth. But that doesn't mean, if your spouse, so your wife, she put on a few pounds and she had the babies or whatever the case is. You can't be like, you get big. You just big now. You big. I wasn't attracted to nobody big before we got married. You big now. Oh, you can say, honey, you know what I'm saying? Wow, you are so beautiful. You like, let's like we said, hey, let's work out. I want us to be the most healthy. I want us to be the most strong. Sometimes you complain about being tired. You know what? Hey, if we, start getting our exercise or whatever the case is, then, you probably have more energy. Telling the truth. You telling them the truth. Yeah, you get, this person has gained some weight, but that's okay. I love you anyway, just like you are. I'm telling the truth in love. Yeah. Make it kind. You know what I'm saying? And then continue to motivate that person. Because sometimes like things like losing weight, that's a big issue. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That's a hard thing to do. Yeah. I mean, because I've been trying to lose 10 pounds. Only need to lose 10 pounds. Been trying to lose 10 pounds for like 3 years. But I'm going to get there. I am going to get there. 2021 is my year. And maybe I'm on my way in 2020. So there you go. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Just tell the truth in love. That helps you to love the person that you chose.
Yeah. One that you chose. Yeah. So and we definitely want to hear from you. So send us some chats and let us know, or type in there what you think are some easy ways to be able to love the spouse that you have been with and that you have chosen, because you're in it for the long run.
You are.
And one of the big things that we try to do in our relationship, and I think is something that's important, is that you should always be able to give without expectation.
Yeah.
And what does that mean?
Showing generosity to your spouse without expecting them to reciprocate every time is a great way to demonstrate your love for them. If you see things that need to be done, take care of them without spectacle. What does that mean? Without making a big deal. I mowed the lawn, or I did this, I did it, and now what are you going to do for me? Do it without spectacle, but also without expecting them to do something for you every time. Right. Well, I did this. Well, I expect you do it because you're good. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Do it because just like God blesses us because he's good, not because we're good. Because we're not going to be good enough to really earn blessings or earn favor. Mm-hmm. Do it because you're good, not because, you want something in return.
Yeah. And it's just, that's the principle of giving, when you are able to truly give to somebody and be a blessing to somebody, you do it without expectation, right. and especially in a relationship, and especially in marriage, just the little stuff that you do, or like, I appreciate all the little stuff that you do, because you do it out of love. That's another love language of doing things, giving, being that, just doing it because you love me. Mm-hmm. And when you give without expectation, it actually allows you to almost free yourself in issues. Like, if you're having some issues where, you're struggling in certain areas in relationship and marriage, when you continue to sow into that area or give into that area, it actually helps you get through that trial a little bit. So, and it should be something like, if your wife or whatever your dynamics are in the home, like if you're having a long day or a bad day or a stressful day, you doing something that you normally don't do goes a long way too. Yeah. Like if you're not a dishwasher or a cooker that day, if you cook or wash the dishes, and then, especially as a man, for a woman, if you do that, be like, oh, you don't worry about it, honey, I got it, and don't expect anything bad. Don't be like, well, all right, I washed the dishes tonight. Now, what you doing for me?
But you may be surprised, and she may be have more energy to do something.
Yeah. Or the next day you might get double.
Exactly, you might get double.
Your reward.
Yeah, you might get double portion the next day, a double portion. So yeah, making sure that you are doing, those things without expectation, without trying to get something back, just doing it. And then, and the flip side of that is also if somebody does something for you, have appreciation, even though this is not, the next one, but it's kind of a part of this one. Have appreciation. Because when I make your plate or when I make meals for you, when you act like you appreciate it, it makes me feel good about doing it. It makes me feel good about doing it. I would do it anyway, but it makes me feel even better when I do it, when you appreciate it, or when you eat your food when it's hot, or when you know what I'm saying? Those type of things help me to be better about doing what I need to do.
Yeah, and it makes you feel more appreciated too, right?
Yeah.
And on both ways. And so it's definitely important to be able to give without the expectation of getting something back from your partner, from your spouse. Yeah.
All right. So our next way or point that we want to give to you to love that person that you chose, to love the spouse that you have, respect their limitations. What does that mean?
Respect their limitations. That means, give an example. Like yesterday, both of us had really long days. You had a long day at work and I had a long day in traveling. Yeah. But, I know that at some point there's certain things that you need and there's certain things that you desire. And then I knew that day that you had reached your limit. And so it was important to me to be able to understand that no matter what was going on my end, that I knew that your limitation was met and was able to meet your needs. And there's plenty of times where I have been frustrated or had long days or did stuff, and you were able to respect my limitations and be able to sort of take over. Be like, okay, I got it from here. And that's what the partnership and marriage is about. Absolutely. It's a beautiful thing when you're able to understand your partner's limits and be able to provide for them when they reach them.
Yeah, I definitely was at my limits. Still had a little overflow of that today. But I thank you because you did step in and you were just like, honey, how can I help do this? Do I need to make phone calls? Do I need to handle this? Or how do I? And I appreciate you taking that brunt off of me and letting me know that my limitations were not the end of it, that you were able to pick up the slack, and that you respected where my limitations are, knowing that, and then you didn't place any unrealistic expectations on me. So don't put any unrealistic expectations on your spouse either. Like if they got a full day, or if something is going on, or that this is really the extent of what they can do, don't put unrealistic expectations on your spouse. You know what I'm saying? Don't expect them to be something that they're not. Don't expect them to be something that they're not. Pray for them, but don't expect them to be something that they're not, because that kind of pressure can cause resentment.
Very true.
It can cause resentment. And if it causes resentment, then it can just go along and be so much more just extra drama that's not necessary for your relationship. So respect those limitations.
That's true. That's very true.
Ooh, number 15. Very important.
Number 7, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, number 7. Counting from the other day. But yes, number 7 is have eyes only for them. Talk about it, Mr. Watts.
Men are visual creatures.
Yep.
A lot of times you are attracted by what you see, especially for men. We're hunters. We're pursuers. You're visually stimulated. The worst thing you can do is to make your wife feel like that her visual impression, everything that she gives is not enough. Yeah. That you, every time you're going out, you're looking at somebody else, or giving attention to them. And it's not just a look, but it can be attention. It can be visual, that you are going outside your fence and making somebody else feel more attractive or more appreciated than your spouse. It's very important. And it doesn't mean that, guys are visual. Hey, look, there's always going to be, you might be walking down the street and out of the corner of your eye, you might see something that's attracted to you. It's attractive, and you go on and look at your wife or whatever. Mm-hmm. What you don't do is like, watch it all the way. That's a good way to get the back of your neck slapped off. Yeah, but it is also, and we talked about this before extensively. It creates so many issues of comparison, insecurity, and all those things. So only having eyes for your spouse is very important, not only for you, your relationship, but also in your spouse and building them and speaking to them in their love language.
Absolutely. You want to make sure that your spouse, your husband or your wife, that you only have eyes for them, that they are the standard. Your wife should be the standard of beauty. Your husband should be the standard of manliness and sexiness and, whatever good that's good in men. He should be the standard of it. And you should not be comparing your spouse with Morris Chestnut or whoever it is. And, for me and my husband, and I can honestly, like, if you do that and you make a practice of that, that really becomes your reality. It becomes your reality. Because in my mind, I try to think of like, what kind of celebrity would I compare my husband to? I'm like, I can't compare him to nobody. He is better looking and sexier than all of them, because I don't get any emotional. I don't feel nothing emotional when I think about those, people on the screen. But when I think about him, all my emotions, you know what I'm saying? So when you make your spouse the standard,
right,
when you make them the
good.
standard, then it's easier for you not to fall into that trap of not having eyes only for them. You know what I'm saying? Somebody got a little bitty waist and big hips and whatever. Please, you know what I'm saying? Because all of that stuff is subjective. It changes. Make sure that your husband or your wife, the best way to love that person is to make sure that they always feel like they are the most beautiful, that they are the most handsome, they are the smartest, they are the greatest. Because honestly, my husband is the smartest person that I know. The smartest person. And every time I just be like, that was such a great idea. And like, I totally mean it. Like, I'm not trying to just blow smoke, but I 100% mean it. I know a lot of smart people though. I know a lot of really smart people, but he's the smartest person I know. So smartest thing I know.
My wife is the most sexiest, beautiful. I love that smile. I love everything about her. And that is because my expectations, my eyes are only for her. And that is important, and that builds and establishes a bond that lasts a lifetime, because you have different stages, you're different people in different aspects of your relationship, and different times in your marriage. You grow, you change, you experience different things. But when you still, no matter what, if it's year 1 or year 300, if you have eyes for your wife and for your spouse, it establishes something that nobody can take away from,
Ron says she thanks God for her husband because he is so wise. He's so wise. That's a blessing, to have somebody who has wisdom like that and can make those decisions, and for you to honor that, and for you to see that and to know that, that's powerful. And you just continue to make sure that he knows that, and that you honor his wisdom, because as you honor his wisdom, he'll only seek to be more wise. You know what I'm saying? Because what you speak to and what you honor, that's what's going to come out. We talked about that before, telling the truth in love, and speaking, what is necessary, and speaking to what's good in your spouse. But as you speak to that, they will seek to be more of what is good.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? So keep speaking to that wisdom.
That's
what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, we're not going to be long tonight. We appreciate you guys, tuning in and joining us. We're actually going to probably do part 3 next week, and hopefully we appreciate you guys, DMing us, and hopefully you enjoyed this new sort of format that we had this evening. But it's important that, when you say I do, we've always said it's a commitment forever. It is marriage is not just something that just happens once. It's a journey.
It is.
I mean, it happens once, but hopefully it happens once. But it's something that you have to practice. It's something that you do every single day. And so when you are able to look past your spouse's shortcomings, their faults, their mistakes, and look at all the great things that they have to offer you, it makes your relationship much easier, much better, and it builds a strong foundation.
Absolutely. And you want to both do that. It's great if one person gets the tools to have a better relationship, but it's even better when both people are practicing those tools to have a better relationship. Because if you both are practicing those tools, then the Bible says two is better than one.
Mhm.
Because if one falls, who's gonna pick them up? You know what I'm saying? And that is so true in marriages and relationships. And that means even if your spouse has a failure, or if they have a place where they miss the mark, you're there to say, hey, you know what, honey, telling the truth in love, you know, you missed the mark there. This damaged us potentially, or this is something that we're going to have to get through, but I'm here to pick you up, and I'm not going to let the enemy destroy you. I'm not going to let the enemy make a fool out of you. I'm not going to let life make a fool out of you, but I'm going to push you. I'm going to support you. We're going to get our act together. We're going to be together, and everything is going to be all right.
Yeah. And that is a fence, because that established a foundation that, you know, you're ride or die. You know, we're going through good times and bad times.
Yeah.
And that, you know, when you are able to take the divorce out of an option, the option, it makes marriage much easier, because it means that, you know, mistakes can be made. You know, there's certain offenses that sometimes happen, but if you're both willing to be perfect, always reaching towards the goal. You know, I saw something I was sort of studying, I want to share with you about Caleb, when he requested, you know, basically what God had promised him. You know, he asked for a mountain. And a lot of times people look at situations, but he thought vertical. You know, he didn't think horizontal. He thought up. And then, you know, a lot of times when we are stuck in a situation where we don't think up, we start getting surrounded and get accustomed to our surroundings. But when you start thinking up, and even in your relationship, about how each day can get better and better, it's a good thing to wake up to the next to the one you love. And start thinking about up every day.
Think about up every day when you get up in the morning, and being with that person that you love, and the person that you with. So again, you know, we want to make sure that you know, we're continuing in this trend on how to love the person that you married, how to love the spouse that you have, because again, none of us know what it's going to be like when you get married. We mentor couples, and I cannot stand to hear a couple say, well, they knew I had this, or they knew I had 10 kids, or they knew I, you know, worked 4 jobs, or they knew, they knew that. That's factual information, but they had no content on that experience. They had no experience with what those facts meant, what that truth meant. Had no idea. So, you know, it's a learning curve. And then not only that, when you are married, again, I tell people this all the time. The person that you were on your wedding day, you will not be the same person at year 2. You are not going to be the same person at year 5. You're not going to be the same person at year 9 or year 25. You're not going to be the same people. You're going to be different people. And so your relationship, your dynamic, your marriage, it changes.
So, that's it for this evening. We hope that you enjoyed it. Hey, we got our social media outlets up there. So follow us on Instagram, on YouTube if you're watching, and on Facebook at What's Up Entertainment. You know, we love to hear from you. Please like and share this broadcast, and hopefully bless somebody that's been watching. We appreciate each and every one of you that tuned in, and we love to hear from you. Send us a text, shoot us a DM, let us know what you'd like for us to talk about, and we will see you guys next week. This has been Frederick and Jean Watts, and this is Love in 60 Seconds. Well, guys, we have to wrap it up this evening. We really hope that you've enjoyed our conversation.
Yes, this conversation has been amazing, and we want you to tune in again next time so that we can discuss more of these amazing topics and these topics of interest. Then don't forget to DM us, contact us, reach out to us, and we will definitely respond back.
This has been Love in 60 Seconds. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
All right. Good night, everybody.
60 seconds.